and justly
impartially and justly perform all duties of the office according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Williams, and welcome to the Bass River Board of Education.
Welcome to the Marine Corps.
The Corps is more fun.
Next is a motion to approve.
Hoorah!
The next is a motion to approve. He be hereby resolved that the Bass River Board of Education appoint the board secretary as the temporary chair to conduct the remainder of the board meeting. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
And a
Second it.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna now, all in favor of appointing the board secretary as chair of the meeting, please say aye.
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 Opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? That motion carries. The next thing on the agenda is we're going to open the floor for nominations for president. Floor is now open for the nomination of president for the Board of Education for 2022. Does anybody have a nomination for board president?
Bonnie Adams.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for president?
Nick, I think we have to approve the motion, the resolution to open the floor. No?
No, I was talking about this with Donio prior that
Okay.
we just have to approve the motion on the vote of who the nomination is. It's procedural, but so seeing no other nominations for board president, we will now take a vote on Bonnie Adams to be president in 2022.
Mr. Brown, can you hear me?
Yes.
Nick, Paul Kalak, you need to close the floor to the nominations before you vote.
Hey, Jimmy, there's a bunch of feedback on this.
Yeah, I'm getting Nick cut. I got Nick cutting in and out too. Mr. Brown's cutting in and out.
Aye. Me too.
All right. Paul, your suggestion is to close the floor for nomination?
Yeah, you don't need to
With
do
a vote?
anything formal. There was a nomination, there was no others. Now you're just closing the floor.
Yeah, the floor is now
Taking a
closed for
roll.
nominations for president.
Right, and then you take a roll call
Yeah.
vote.
Correct. And so the members of the board are aware a vote of yes is a vote in support of Miss Adams for board president for 2022. This is a roll call vote. Miss Pittsburgher,
Yes.
Mr. Fodor,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yeah.
Miss Adams.
Yes.
Congratulations, Miss Adams, back as another term as board president.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
All right, next we're gonna move to the nomination for vice president. Reminder, the motion carried for Miss Adams as president. The floor is now open for nominations for vice president. Does anybody have a nomination?
I would like to nominate Kevin Polder.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for vice president? The floor is now closed for nominations for vice president. We're now going to vote on the nomination of Mr. Fodor as vice president of the Board of Education for 2022. So the board members are clear. A vote of yes is a vote in support of Mr. Fodor for vice president for the 2022 school year. This is a roll call vote. Mrs. Bittsberger,
Yes.
Mr. Fodor,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yeah.
and Miss Adams.
Yes.
That motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Fodor, on being elected the Vice President of the Bass River Board of Education.
Thank you.
Next up the members of the board are going to take turns reading from the Code of Ethics. Can I have a motion to approve the following resolution? Be it hereby resolved by the Bass River Board of Education to adopt the following statute Code of Ethics for school board members as listed A through J. Can I have a motion?
Motion, but I don't have a copy.
I have a second on the Code of Ethics.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Ms. Adams, do you have a copy of it in front of you?
I do.
I'm
Like me to read it?
going to ask anybody that has a copy of it. Ms. Pittsburgher, do you have a copy of it?
Yeah, it's in the agenda, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Item 10 in the agenda, Code of Ethics.
If
Mr.
you can
Williams,
give
do you
me-
have it?
Yes, I have it.
If you can give me 2 seconds, I could pull it up.
I have it.
What we'll do is we'll start with Ms. Pittsburgher on A, and then just take turns, Ms. Pittsburgher, Mr. Williams, Mr. Fodor, Ms. Adams, reading down the list of the Code of Ethics, okay? Ms.
Okay,
Pittsburgher, you're going to start with item A.
okay. I will uphold and enforce all laws, state board rules and regulations, and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes should be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures.
B, I will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools which meet the individual needs of children regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing.
C, I will confine my board actions to policy making, planning, and appraisal. I will help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them.
D, I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that they are well run.
E, I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promises nor take any private action which may compromise the board.
F, I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups or to use the schools for personal gain or for gain of friends.
G, I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the school which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals on the school. But in all other matters, I will provide accurate information and in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its schools.
H, I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer.
I will support and protect school personnel in proper performance of their duties.
J, I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on such complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution.
Thank you. Now a quick roll call vote for everybody to approve the Code of Ethics. Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Ms. Pittsburgher,
Excuse me. Yes, I had a question on one of them. Should I ask it now or wait till afterwards?
I
Ask
think
it now.
now would be more, yeah.
Now it's appropriate.
Okay, I brought this up at the previous meeting, and I just wanted to make sure it was okay. I would like to investigate why people are putting up SOS signs on their lawn. I know SOS stands for Save the
Ms.
Schools.
Fitzberger, can I stop you right there? And because this question doesn't relate to the code of ethics, can you wait until we get to, new business or forum for that opportunity to discuss that?
Okay, I thought one of the ethics affected what I wanted to do. That was all. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We'll address the questions about this. You can bring that up in the, later in the meeting.
Okay, great.
All right, no problem. All right, so you have a vote to approve?
Yes, I
okay.
vote to approve, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Footer,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
that motion carries. Next up, item 11 on the board's agenda is a motion to approve the following annual board resolutions. A through I. Can I have a motion?
A through I, I'm sorry, that was A through I.
Yes, sir.
Motion.
I'll
Thank
second
you.
it.
Thank you. This is a roll call vote. Mr. Williams?
These are the annual appointments, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Fodor?
Yes.
Ms. Spitzberger?
Carol, sorry, yes.
And Ms. Adams?
Yes.
That motion carries. There are no items for executive session this evening. Item 13 is approval of the minutes. A motion to approve the December 7th minutes as presented on tonight's agenda. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
I
And a
have a
second?
question on the minutes.
Go ahead.
There was,
I'm sorry to interrupt. We do need a second.
you do?
first.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't remember that. Sorry.
Sorry, John.
Do we have a second? And then Mr. Footer can ask his question.
Second.
Mrs. Adams, got it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Fodor.
I had asked Mr. Yates a couple questions last meeting. It does not state what board member had asked him them questions. Shouldn't that reflect who is asking the questions as a school board member? So that way someone can't say that Miss Adams said this and that. They can go back and say, no, Mr. Fodor said that. It's here in the minutes. It just says questions were asked. Doesn't say who asked the questions. So
I mean, to the extent possible, we try to include that information, but it's not meant to be a stenographer's event of the meetings. It's supposed to be a summary of the pertinent details of the meeting, but your point is noted on the detail in citing when possible when somebody makes a quote.
Is there a specific example? I just pulled the minutes and so far reviewing it, Mr. Fodor, it does list the person's name who was asking those questions.
Excuse me for coming in and out. When I looked at the minutes, it did not state, unless I overlooked it, that
It might
I
just
had
be a certain portion of the minutes. So if you knew
Yeah.
the section of the minutes, I could.
It
we
was
could
when I
clarify
was
that.
asking about the electric bill and the gas bill and things like that. It just said
Okay.
there was questions addressed to you, but it didn't say who. I just think,
Uh,
in all fairness, it should say who asked the question. So if someone from the
I-
public reads the minutes or whatever, they could say, Bonnie said that. No, she didn't. Kevin did. It's right here in the minutes. Or, Mr. Williams.
Oh, I do
did.
see what you're saying. Yep, it is listed
Yeah.
as discussion, fielded a question from board members. We can certainly
Right.
clarify that.
Just, I'm not trying to be a pain, but I think it should actually say who's asking the question as a board member. So that way, if anything does arise from it, you know who it is. You don't have to go back and think or search or whatever. It would be
But
a
we
lot
agree
easier.
with you. That might have been an oversight on our part when
No problem.
reviewing the minutes, because in every other scenario, we do list who asked those
Yes.
questions.
Yes, and I
Thank
figured it
you.
was an overlight, oversight.
Yep. Any other questions on the minutes for tonight? All
Mr.
right, then
Brown.
this is a,
Mr. Brown,
yes, ma'am.
so I just need to add something to the minutes. Let me get my throat here together.
You had sent me a note, Miss Adams, about something that you wanted recognized from the board forum in the prior meeting, correct? And just some, and I passed those along to John. John, did you update the minutes with that? Or did you have a chance to? It was shortly before the meeting started.
Yeah, no, it was too soon before the meeting. My suggestion would be here that we table the approval of these minutes, Mr. Kalak, so that we can revise them and have them approved in the next meeting.
That's fine, because there's certain questions that have been asked and raised that I want them to be addressed prior to any approval.
Okay. Would that be okay with the rest of the board?
I'll make a
Submit-
motion to table the minutes till their corrections, the necessary corrections are made and presented to the next meeting.
Can I ask a question? Can't you make the change to the minutes now and we approve them?
You could make those changes now, but then there would have to be a full-blown discussion as to what those changes were. And then there'd have to be agreement on those. So that could be time-consuming. And frankly, it doesn't make a difference if you push it to the next meeting, unless there's something that's so absolutely critical in there in those minutes that it has to be approved tonight.
No, I just thought it would be easier just to make the changes because I think they would be quick changes and then we approve them. But that's okay, we can wait.
And we'll put them on the next, we'll table these and then put them on next month's agenda with incorporating the additions that we discussed here.
Okay,
So a motion to table the minutes.
I make that motion till the necessary changes are made and brought back at the next meeting.
Thank you. And a second on the motion to table the minutes?
Was there a second?
Yes,
Miss Adams,
Okay.
yeah.
It's
Mr.
fine.
Adams.
Okay, bye.
All in favor of tabling the minutes as discussed, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay.
nay,
Any abstentions?
Mr. Brown, I would ask to abstain. I wasn't part of any of those conversations.
Okay, so we don't have enough votes to table the minutes.
You have
So-
3, isn't it? 3 out of 5?
You have two.
You have 2.
Yeah,
I'll
Ms.
change,
Adams? Yeah.
I'll change my vote and approve it.
Well, wait, let's hold on. So right now we have 2 yeses, 1 no, and 1 abstention.
And the no would like to change her vote to yes to make it 3 yeses and an abstention.
Okay, so
Yes.
then the business administrator would have to ask, is that Ms. Spitzberger's seeking the change?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
the business administrator would have to ask Ms. Spitzberger if she wishes to change her vote. If the answer is yes, if it's yes, Ms. Spitzberger, say yes.
Yes,
Okay, and then now, Nick, can you just make a motion to vote it again now that she's said yes to changing her vote? Then I want it to be voted again to make sure there's 3 yeses officially.
Got it. All right, so I have a motion to revote the minutes as presented on tonight's agenda.
I make
Or
the motion.
tabling.
I make a motion to table the minutes to next meeting from last meeting till the corrections that are necessary to be made.
Thank you. And a
I'll-
second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye,
Okay, this is a roll call vote to table the minutes. Miss Adams,
yes,
Miss Spitzberger,
yes,
Mr. Fodor,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Abstain.
Your abstention is noted. Thank you. That motion carries. Item 14 is Residents Forum. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to comment. Each statement made by a participant is limited to 3 minutes as cited in policy 0167. The public may comment on any item on the agenda at this time. The floor is now open for public comment. Let me, anybody in the waiting room?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll just give it a couple minutes for the World Wide Web to dial in. And seeing no members of the public commenting for public forum, we're going to move to item 15, board work session. The first item on board work session is board member orientation. Mr. Williams, you may be fairly familiar with the process of being a board member from your previous time in Pineland. So I'll send to you the standard stuff that we send out to new board members after they're sworn in. If you have questions about any of that stuff, it's about the training that we do, the frequency of meetings, all that good stuff. You can certainly reach out to me, okay?
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Next item on the workshop agenda is the web services update. I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge Bill Curtin. Bill is a Bass River resident who the district retained to keep our website up to date with information after we switched over to a new website last year. And Mr. Curtin has very kindly donated his services in spite of us having an agreement where we would pay him, has routinely forgiven the balance on those and asked for nothing in return for his efforts. And I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge Mr. Curtin and his the professional work that he does, and he's saving tax dollars for Bass River residents. So thank you, Bill. Much appreciated.
Very much appreciated.
Yeah, very much.
Yes, very much.
And the last item, I wanted to give an update for everybody on the sale of the school building. As you guys know, there's signs out front. On January 4th, a bid preview period began. That means that people can log on to govdeals.com and see all the listing details for the Bass River Elementary School. There will be an auction that will last from February 1st until March 11th for the building. After the auction period is concluded, the winning bid will go to the Board of Education for approval. We anticipate approving a winning bid at the March 16th Board of Education meeting. Bidders are informed that there is a $1,000 bid deposit requirement, which means if you want to place a bid on the building, you're required to put a $1,000 deposit down, and that also allows you to inspect the building by appointment. So interesting parties can do that through the GovDeals website. There will be a deposit due within 10 days of approval or notification by the Board of Education. I believe that's a 20% deposit from the winning bidder after the board has approved it. The remainder due at settlement, and the board will be looking to settle that within 30 days of the board's approval. So that's sort of the timeline going forward for the sale of the building. Are there any questions?
Yes, the deposit to come inspect the building and do whatever they want to do or whatever, is that a non-refundable deposit?
No, it's refundable if they're not the winning bidder.
Is that standard with them, or is that something we set up that would be non-refundable?
I don't know about that question. I can ask the GovDeals rep who I'll be speaking to tomorrow. My thought would be that it's standard that they are non-refundable deposits because that may discourage potential bidders. What it does is discourages tire kickers. If you have to put up some money to be able to come and sit down and view the building or schedule appointment, then we'll likely have more serious bidders to discuss their interest in the building with.
That's why I was asking if it was refundable or not, because if it's refundable, you can get any Tom, Dick, or Harry come in, not like it, then walk out. But if it's non-refundable, you're going to get some serious people. You're not going to get, like you said, tire kickers.
Remember that only allows them to place a bid. If they're the winning bidder, then they have to put a 20% deposit down after they agree to the terms of the agreement. So there's there is a significant commitment consistent with other commercial real estate transactions that the buyer and then eventually the winning bidder will be required to make prior to closing and prior to the board's consideration of their offer.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just had one question. Do a lot of people know about the site that the auction is located on?
Well, part of the reason that it is available to preview on the site right now prior to the auction starting is so that a marketing period this month from January 4th to February 1st allows GovDeals and their affiliates to get this listing broadcast out. I did get an email and I shared it with the Board of Education that showed a number of places that the listing has gone out to already. And if you want a more comprehensive list of that, I can get it from GovDeals. But essentially, that's what this first month is, to get the word out, let everybody know that the auction is coming up, and to build potential interest in the building.
Okay, I was just wondering how many do people know to kind of go to this site if they're looking for a building for whatever? Do you understand what I'm asking?
I do, and I think the answer to your question is yes. To the best of my knowledge, that people who are purchasing commercial real estate right now will easily find this building.
Okay, that answers my question.
Yep.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, next item up is number 16, monthly meetings. Can I have a motion to approve the meeting schedule for 2022? Can I have a motion to approve the meeting schedule?
And
Are we having enough meetings?
We're required to have a meeting by law no less than every other meeting while school is in session. So we're required to have 5 a year.
Oh, okay.
We are having the statutory required number of meetings.
Okay.
so Nick, I know we need a motion first before discussion.
Yeah, Ms. Adams, if I can, yeah, we need a second actually to open up discussion. Can we have a second on the meeting schedule?
I'll give the second, but I have something after that, so go ahead. A second.
Okay, so Ms. Adams, you suggested that you want to have a February meeting, right?
Mhm.
Yes, please.
And what are we thinking for the Feb meeting in terms of board business?
So board business one being this, I'd like to have it instead of the first, second Tuesday, a little bit later because the building will be having a little bit of activity. The second thing is our open candidate seat. To have a discussion about that if anybody shows an interest.
Okay. And so we'll get to that next. So we're all on the same page. We can approve the meeting schedule as presented. The board president can ask me to call a meeting for the February at any time. So what we'll do, if it's agreeable to everybody, is approve the schedule as presented with the understanding that we're going to add a late February meeting. It's going to be after the deadline for potential new applicants for the Board of Education. So I believe the deadline in the ad, if I remember correctly, was February 14th. So it'll be sometime in February after the 15th, because we have meetings on the 14th and 15th in Little Egg and Pinelands. We're on the same page. Mr. Porter, what was your question?
It was the same thing about the February, having a meeting in February, and it was obviously, like you said, after the deadline for the new candidates.
Yeah, so if we're all on the same page, we're going to approve the meeting schedule that's up there. We understand that we're going to add a February meeting after February 15th, but sometime in February for the board to select from potential interested new board members, right? So now we're going to do a roll call vote to approve the meeting schedule on tonight's agenda. Ms. Pittsburgher.
Yes.
Mr. Fodor.
Yes, with the understanding that meeting in February will be added at a later date.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
and Miss Adams.
yes,
All right, that motion carries. The next item up, number 17, does not require the board's formal approval, but it's on there as new business. The board has an open seat. The pursuant to state New Jersey statute, notice is hereby given that the Bass River Township Board of Education is seeking interested persons to apply to fill an unexpired board member term until December 31st, 2022. This board position will be placed on the ballot at the annual November election for next year. So the board member would be joining us for 2022 for now. In the ad, the qualifications are listed. You must be able to read and write, be United citizens with no prior convictions. You must have no interest or contract with or claim against the board. You must be registered to vote in the state of New Jersey. Interested parties should email me their resume and letter of interest to nbrown@prsdnj.org. This ad will also be sent out and published in the local papers, and board members are encouraged to share it. And if you know anybody who's interested in serving on the Board of Education, please ask them to contact me. All right, and
Yep.
next up, was there a question?
No,
Okay, thank you. Next up is item 18, finance, motion to approve the following items A through F. May I have a motion? A through E.
Yeah, it's A through E.
Yep.
I have F on mine.
Looking for a motion to approve. Anybody?
sorry, motion,
I'll
Thank you, Ms.
second it.
Adams. Thank you, Ms. Pittsburgher. This is a roll call vote. Mr. Williams,
I need to abstain. I wasn't party to any of this.
yep. Mr. Fodor,
I abstain. I was not able to view them all.
there are not enough votes to pass any of these items. We need 3 affirmative votes to pass any item on this agenda. So, Paul, a little guidance here.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Fodor, you said you did not have the chance to review them. If you took a few minutes now and reviewed them and asked any questions that are necessary, I think that would be the way to go. I mean, these are motions to approve the bills for the district to be paid. Line item transfers, all that good stuff. It's all BA stuff that needs to be done in order for your district to run operationally. So my recommendation, Mr. Fodor, would be to do that and then reconsider an abstention on that, just for the importance of paying these bills for your district.
I understand that, and I don't have a problem with that. Unfortunately, I was away on vacation. I just got back, and I've been very tied up. I'm not going to rush through bills where we have found some mistakes or some questions in the past, just to quickly brief over and pay something where, you know, it could cost the taxpayers money again. That's how we got in the situation we're in now with all these bonds and stuff that we have to pay, grants we have to pay back. So I am not going to be forced into being rushed to read something. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not
Noted
taking
for the
the
record that you were given the same time as every other board member to review this information prior to the meeting, and the same amount of time we give all board members prior to every meeting. And board members are reminded that it's their responsibility to stay on top of this stuff, because we are trying to run an operation. We do not meet regularly, and now this could postpone the payment of bills, including utilities and other essential services for the district, for an additional 45 days. And that's generally not the way we like to do business. I want it to be noted, this is not a failure of the business office in providing these to the board for their consideration in a timely manner.
And I understand that, but again, you folks are paid. We are not. We are volunteers. We do this on our time. I was away on vacation. I was not going to take time from my vacation to conduct this business while I had other things to do. I am not going to rush and read over these like I normally do. And every meeting, you know, I have questions on the bills. So I'm not going to sit here and say yes to something that could wind up costing us more money than it should. And I have every right to abstain, and I am pulling that. I am abstaining. I am not going
Your
to be
right to
forced to
abstain
read
is,
something.
nobody's asking you to read anything you're not comfortable reading, Mr. Fodor. I'm just asking that the record reflects that the same time to review and approve these documents was given as it is at every other meeting. That's all. Your abstention
Okay.
is noted. You were right to abstain. These items, I guess, will be included on a subsequent board meeting. I need a motion to table finance items A through F. And I have a
Nick, before you make that motion, if these bills are tabled, the next board meeting that was just approved pursuant to number 16 is March 16, 2022. Now, we don't have a February meeting just yet, but let's suppose for the sake of argument, the meeting is February, 28. You're talking another 6 weeks before those bills are paid. Does that jeopardize the district in any way in terms of not paying those bills for another 6 weeks? Potentially.
Mr. Kalak, can I, moment here? Mr.
And
Kalak,
I wanted to ask a question too.
Hold on,
is
Carol. Mrs. Bittsberger, if you don't mind, Mr. Williams was
I'm
speaking
sorry,
first.
I didn't hear him. Sorry.
Mr. Kalak, does an abstention go with the majority?
Yeah, see, I don't know if you have a board policy that says that. But
We
again,
we operate by Robert's Rules of Order, and you know that's in there.
my only concern though would be if that abstention counted as a yes and you have a board member that's claiming that he did not review them at all, that could be problematic, that he didn't have the opportunity to make his vote.
I
properly.
reviewed them. I reviewed them.
I'd like to also notify the board, there is a lease payment in this batch of bills list here
15,000.
that
Yep.
needs to go out. And without an affirmative, we are unable to cut these checks and make that lease payment.
The other thing what I wanted to ask is if you make a late, if you don't make your payments on time, aren't you charged late fees?
Most of the vendors are pretty flexible with school districts,
Oh.
but yes, late fees will be incurred in this scenario.
Right.
More importantly, when it comes to the potential late payment of a lease obligation, that could be reported to credit agencies and impact our Moody's rating and also other borrowing costs in the future. May not
Could
matter
also
to
be
our
an
Board of
auditing.
Education, but
It could also be an auditing concern as well.
yeah, there's a myriad of reasons we're asking everybody to review these in a timely manner, but I think we've covered them.
As far as being a problem with borrowing or anything in the future, we have nothing to borrow. We don't have a school anymore. So that really doesn't pertain to us. Technically,
Mr. Fodor,
yes.
if I could ask Mr. Kalak to explain, if you were to make a motion to approve the bills to be paid, in the course that you find something that is not appropriate, what action can you take? Mr. Kalak, can you answer that?
So if there's a motion to approve the bills and then Mr. Fodor then reviews the bills in the full detail that he's seeking to review, and he finds that there's something that was, in his opinion, improper or incorrect, he could always bring that up at the next board meeting and have full discussion on that. He also would have the opportunity at the next board meeting, if he thought that approval from tonight should be overturned or rescinded, he has the right as a board member to make a motion to rescind the previous approval of the bills being paid from tonight's meeting. And if that gets a second and it gets a roll call that says yes, then that's voted on to rescind it. Certainly we wouldn't want to be rescinding, bills that were paid 2 months down the road, but that would be an option that Mr. Fodor would have.
See, I'm trying to click on them. It's telling me to ask for a request access.
Are you using your Bass River email address?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
And everybody else, every other member of the board is able to click the link and see those attachments?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I,
Yeah,
re-
then-
I looked at them.
You
Yeah,
have permission, Mr. Fodor. That's not it.
Oh. Oh. I was able to pull them up. Mhm. Almost there. I do have a question on the change in maintenance reserve.
So as part of the audit process, every year, the district passes a resolution in June that if we have any unspent money in the budget, that we will put it in various reserve accounts. Typically, we would ask the board to put it in maintenance reserve or capital reserve. We place that money. We did a resolution in June to move money into maintenance reserve. And this is a function of the audit process where the actual funds, after the audit is complete, get moved into the reserve accounts that the board designated.
Again, I'm sorry, I'm holding everybody up. Like I said, I just had.
This is
issues getting
preferable
back
to the
home.
alternative. It's okay.
Another question I have is, the state of New Jersey gave us $18,366.32. That's on page 11.
Page 11 of which one?
The assets, I'm sorry, special revenue fund. Assets and liability.
Are you
On which-
reviewing the board secretary report?
Yes, report to Secretary of the Board.
Attachment 5.
Says, total assess and resources negative $27,294.55.
I'm sorry, I'm just clicking in. Which page are you on?
No problem. Page 11 of 28 says we're negative $27,294.55.
It's not cash that you're negative, and it's Fund 20. It's within your general fund. It's
Well, we're basically saying there, Mr. Footer, is that we anticipate that the state will send us an additional that much money throughout the remainder of the school year. It's unrealized payments from the state. Yeah.
the caveat that that's been carried forward for a few years. It looks like
For
your
years,
fund
yes.
balance, your fund balance in Fund 20 is just negative 27,000, but you're net positive in your general fund. It's more of an accounting issue than it's not a cash issue, Mr. Fodor.
Okay, and rather than sit here and keep going through, the only two questions I have left is, gas and electric bill for this last month. Was that higher, lower? Did it change any? Because if you remember, I brought up about the high electric and gas bills last meeting.
And then last month when we talked about it, we just said that the billing period in question was summer months, and that's why they were higher. So nothing struck me as abnormal with them, but I did not do an additional review of those bills. I'll look at them, and if they're abnormal, I'll let you know, but we don't have any expanded utility use. But as we discussed in the beginning, and a vacant building still uses a decent amount of energy, so we can maintain the interior condition of the building
Right.
prior to its sale.
All right, I'll make the motion. Go ahead.
Mr. Kalak, is it appropriate to just, we had a motion and second to approve finance A through F, and then we had, realizing that we had no majority, we started the discussion. And now we've completed the review. What's the appropriate way to re-vote on these
I
items?
would just make the motion again to approve item number 18.
Can I have a motion to approve finance items A through F, please?
Make a
Motion.
motion to approve.
Thank you. And Mr. Furter, you were the second?
Yep.
Thank you. This is a roll call vote. Mr. Williams?
Not that I see anything wrong on the bills list, just I am abstaining because I was not a board member. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you. Mr. Fodor?
Yes.
Ms. Berger?
Yes,
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 19 is public comment. The floor is now open to members of the public. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express with each statement made by a participant limited to 3 minutes as cited in policy 0167. The floor is now open for general public comment. Let me check that. I don't see anybody new in our waiting room. We'll just give that a couple of minutes. A couple seconds. All right, seeing no one. We are now at board forum. Floor is now open for members of the board to discuss items as they see fit. Ms. Pittsburgher, you had a comment from earlier you wanted to discuss?
yeah, I had another question too. Maybe that could be answered very quickly. How many elementary schools does Little Lake Harbor have?
You have two.
They have 2. And our children go to which one?
Go to
You go to
both,
both.
depending on what grade they're in.
Oh, they go to both of them?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. I wanted to ask if it's okay if I attend a Little Lake Harbor Elementary board meeting. I wanted to see what parents come out and what kinds of questions that they're asking, and if they have any particular concerns. And especially since I can't seem to find out what the SOS, what those parents are pushing for.
So I'll answer
So-
the first question first. All board meetings are open to the public, and you're encouraged to attend Little Eggs meetings, which are generally, they're going to be on Monday nights, generally the second or third Monday of each month. The schedule for the Little Lake Harbor Board of Education is on their website, and I can also share it with you separately. Anybody who's has business with the Little Lake Harbor Board of Education is encouraged to attend, ask questions. The second part of that was a question about SOS signs. Unfortunately, the board is not aware of who made the signs or what they were for. So I would respectfully, and also those are not, to the best of my knowledge, have nothing to do with Bass River since, but I would have to defer that question to whoever made the signs.
Yeah, there is there's at least one sign in Bass River, but I don't know if there's any more. I just really wanted to know what parents were complaining about. What was their big complaint, especially at the elementary school?
I don't know, but to your earlier question, nobody showed up at a board meeting and expressed those complaints. And that's really the forum for members of the
Yeah.
public.
All right.
If they have a legitimate complaint, inquiry, question for the Board of Education, I would encourage you to express those at a board meeting, not on Facebook. It's certainly everybody's right
No,
to put out a lawn
I
sign.
understand that, but
Yeah.
quiet. Even though I don't have any children in the school, as a resident of Bass River, I'm concerned about what our children are being taught. So the SOS thing really caught my eye, and I just wanted to find out what's going on, what people have complaints about. That's all.
Again, I just want to remind everybody that nobody brought any concerns to the Board of Education meetings. So, and that's the extent that I'm familiar, but your questions are noted. All right, next up, or your comments, thank you. Next in board forum, Mr. Williams.
Nothing other than, hope we have a wonderful year. It's beautiful to see limited meetings and the national championships coming on soon. So good night.
We weren't even
Okay.
paying
Roll
attention to
Tide, roll Tide.
Ah,
that. Mr. Fodor.
Yes, is Mr. Kalak still with us?
Yes, sir.
I brought this up 2 meetings ago and I brought it up last meeting. And I know Mr. Brown them's been busy. As far as the teachers and things having to be COVID vaccinated, things like that, how does that carry over to board members, even though we're not paid employees of the district, but we are employees of a district? What does that do with, like, as far as statutes and things like that the governor's put in place and all? Do we have to be vaccinated? Don't we? I mean, I'm vaccinated. I'm just asking for future mask
No,
requirements.
there's currently no requirement from the governor or any statute that board members must be vaccinated in order to attend board meetings or in
Okay.
order to serve as a board member.
About masks and stuff, if we had a meeting at the school tonight, we would have to mask up.
Yeah, the
correct?
executive order is still in effect
Still in
from
effect,
August
right?
9th. Yep, and it's been extended. I think it's been extended to, don't quote me, April. Does that sound right? Or maybe March?
They
I think it got shot
denied the
down.
request to go full 90-day extension, and he was given 30.
30. Okay, now it's 30 days.
so
So you're
we're supposed to wear the mask at personal meetings.
yes.
For
if you go to
in-person,
any
that-
board meeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, may I ask, what about the statement that I'm hearing over and over
Shit,
again?
hold on.
that-
Miss
that-
Pittsburgher, it would be appropriate to allow all members of the board to have their chance. We just had an opportunity for you to give forum. I'd like to go through the remaining members, and if you have an additional comment at that time, we'll get it. Just hang tight for a minute. Mr. Fodor, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I forget what it was that quick. Old age is setting in. Oh, I see, without going into details, new signs appearing on people's lawns about someone getting fired and trying to have someone fired. Do we have any idea if this is possibly the same culprits that are doing the SOS signs?
I have no idea.
I mean, there's one right in the center of our town on someone's lawn asking for someone to be fired. And they're starting to pop up in other places. I have 2 in my development that I've seen tonight.
Did
You
you
have
ask your
any-
neighbor about the sign?
I
Like the
don't
people
know
in your
these,
development?
I don't
I
know
would
these
think they would
people.
be the best source of information on this question. As the board secretary, I have no information on the sign. Nobody's formally
Okay.
contacted the board and expressed any connection or concerns to us.
Okay, I didn't know if they were popping up in Little Egg or not. Like I said, I've been away for over a week, so I didn't know if they were, popping up around there or not. And the last question I have, what is the plan if the COVID keeps rising to go back to virtual as far as statewide, or is it up to the individual districts if they don't have the personnel because of COVID, or like Mr. Brown and I were talking earlier, bus drivers, whatever the case may be? Is there a certain amount of time you can only do it, or can you do it as long as you see fit, or is that a governor's call?
No, so right now, the governor said that the office said that he's unlikely to institute more COVID restrictions. So I don't know of the governor's plans, and certainly that's their prerogative to change as they see fit. For this in Little Lake Harbor, where Bass River students attend, it's always been about managing to whether or not we have the proper staff to provide a healthy and safety environment for our kids to learn in. And so it's made on we evaluate the numbers of positive tests and the impact of COVID regularly and whether or not we can maintain in-person instruction. But like everybody else with this surge of cases, we're taking it day by day. We don't know what we're getting on a daily basis.
Understand.
Ms. Fodor, I'm sorry, Ms. Fodor, Ms. Adams, do you have anything?
Yes, I'd like to make a request for the administration to send Bill Curtin a certificate of appreciation for his donation of website services.
I'll put that together.
Can we get a gift? Like a gift certificate?
Oh, we can't give gifts.
We can't?
No.
We make it a
I
plaque.
got the
away from
impression that
gifts.
Mr. Curtins would be pleased with your thank yous and appreciation. He's
Okay.
seems like a very nice, humble dude.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know,
he is.
I know who he is.
Yeah.
And, yeah, okay. I thought we could get a gift certificate come up at a restaurant or something and give it to him. Because you were gonna pay him, right?
Well, we try to pay everybody who we're supposed to, yeah.
But if he wouldn't take it, why can't we use some of that money to buy him a little gift certificate? You know, like a gift certificate to a restaurant for him to take his wife out to dinner.
Again, I'm going to tell you as your counsel to stay away from gifts. It's very nice that he donated his time. So a certificate of appreciation or a letter or some acknowledgement is certainly good enough. And I think that would probably go farther than a gift certificate to a restaurant, respectfully, because it'll show that the whole board is behind him and thanks him for his service.
Yeah, but I was thinking of giving the gift certificate to a restaurant, you know, like Oyster Creek or something like that, in with the certificate thank you certificate you're gonna give them.
You're asking for a can of worms if you do that.
Yeah,
Personally.
it's a good thought, but I would stay away from it.
All
Now,
right.
someone could donate a gift card, maybe that could work. I don't know, Mr. Kalak.
I don't want to even go down the path, quite frankly.
Ah,
All right, guys. Well, seeing no other items in front of the board, we are looking for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting at 2 p.m. Can I have a motion?
Motion,
Can I have a second?
second.
All those in favor of adjourning tonight's meeting, please say aye.
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 Opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? That motion carries. A reminder that the next regularly scheduled meeting is Wednesday, March 16th. The board will add a February meeting, the details of which will be published as soon as possible. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Good
thank
night,
you.
folks.
Be
Good
safe.
night.
Good night.